welcome back to Words of Paradise. I'm your host, Leon Idle, and what do you think of when you hear the term groomer? Obviously, that's a pretty heavy topic to start right out the gate, but I assume, much like myself, you think of age individuals who influence younger individuals without actually doing anything to them over the course of years so that they can already be trained towards the way of thinking the older individual wants them to have by the time they reach adulthood. It's a pretty sick and messed up concept, and it is something that does happen in the world, which is why I find this article interesting. I haven't read it yet. I want to go through, read it with you, because it could be more evidence of Hollywood being fucking disgusting, or it could just be woke propaganda trash. Let's find out together in this article reading, Scarlet Johannson reveals she had been groomed. Let's see what this is all about. Being typecast is a problem many Hollywood actors face, and while a few of them can break out of the role they've been pigeonholed into, even fewer become more prominent names after doing so. According to Variety, Marvel Cinematic Universe actor Scarlet Johannson believed she was typecast and groomed into being a bombshell actor and couldn't get out of it. Whether it's Danny Trejo as the angry tough guy, Morgan Freeman as the wise old teacher, or Hugh Grant as the lovable British heartthrob, once you make a name for yourself as one thing, it can feel impossible to break free. And for Johansson, that was the over-sexualized subjective desire. Alright, I do want to go on and say what she has to say before I discount that this is possible, because it could be. Scarlett Johansson, I don't know how long she's been in Hollywood, but she could have been, if she was underage, groomed into this. That being said, I will also say, typecasting for actors, it's not as common as you think. Like, the vast majority of actors people claim are typecast aren't typecast. Adam Sandler has had many dramatic works put under his belt. You can also actually say the same for, Jack Black. But not just in comedy. Take, superhero actors. Hugh Jackman. No one ever calls Hugh Jackman typecast, even though he made his name as Wolverine. Now, for 90s Broadway fans, obviously you know that he definitely had stuff going on before that. But the point is, Hugh Jackman's done just about everything, despite Wolverine being the main focal point of his career to the eyes of the masses. Romantic comedies, action films, dramas, thrillers. The man, he's a genius. He can play anything. So when an actor is typecast, 9 times out of 10, it might be because they're only good at acting one particular way. No one's ever called Harrison Ford typecast. Does he often play the rough-and-tumble rugged hero? Yeah. However, the man can do anything. You ever seen What Lies Beneath? Whew. If you haven't, you'll have a whole new appreciation for Harrison Ford. That being said, let's get back to this article. When Scarlett Johannson sat down with Variety, she explains that when she was 18 or 19 years old, well, if this only started when you were 18 or 19, I'm going to come out and say it, you weren't groomed. The whole idea of grooming is you have to be underage. But I digress. She was doing films like Lost in Translation with Bill Murray and The Girl with the Pearl Earring with Colin Firth. She felt that during that time she was discovering herself and her own sexuality while constantly playing the other woman or the object of desire. The Black Widow actor felt cornered in being typecast into that bombshell actor known for her looks, and she couldn't get out of it. I mean, if you're 18 or 19, you probably haven't been in a whole lot of pictures yet, so you're not exactly typecast. You've done 2 moderately successful movies, and you were a similar character in both movies. That's not typecasting, especially at 18 or 19. She eventually got out of that corner, though, as you can see in her films like Marriage Story with Adam Driver, where she shows an emotional depth not seen before in her career, or Taika Waititi's Jojo Rabbit, where she allowed her quirky nature to thrive. Of course, that wasn't without fighting through the constant barrage of roles that continuously played on that part of her, from Don Juan with Joseph Gordon-Levitt, to even having her voice be the object of desire when Joaquin Phoenix falls for it in Her. Okay, first of all, you out the gate listed 2 relatively good films where she's not typecast, and I would wager those are 2 of her most famous films. And then Don Juan with Joseph Gordon-Levitt. I mean, who remembers that movie? No one. And Her is not about her being typecast and being a bombshell actress. Her is very gripping story about human connection, and more so human connection with AI and sentience, and the difference between where reality and human connection can be blurred with technology. So that's just a horrible example of her being typecast into the bombshell actress. Part of being a bombshell is looking like a bombshell, and it's just her voice. Like, that's kind of the point of the program. That's not a typecasting, since that's not the nature of the story of the film. So this is already a horrendous article, but we'll continue. She told Variety that it would have been easy to look at what she was doing and think that it was working, but that kind of career burns bright and quick, and then there's nothing left for you. Scarlett Johannson worked to turn her career around by using her longest-running character in the MCU, Natasha Romanoff, aka Black Widow, to show that she was more than a face and a body. But even at the beginning of her run, when Marvel was still trying to figure out how to use female characters as anything other than arm candy for their heroes, Johansson's screen time was often used as romantic interest or implied with tension between no less than 4 of her male co-stars. Okay, let's stop talking about Scarlett Johansson for a moment and talk about the character that is Scarlet Widow. That is Black Widow. Black Widow is a spy. She is a female spy. It has been a trope, and not only a trope in movies, but in real life, that female spies use their sexuality and their whimsical women wiles to get the information they want, to sabotage men, to be accurate spies. Josephine Baker was a black American female spy in World War II. I'm not going to go into the history because, this is to make fun of the article, and I can go on about this story forever. It's super cool. My point is, that's literally how real spy work gets done. And so having Scarlett Johansson play a character like that makes sense, not just in a fictional comic book movie. She described her character as an underdeveloped and hypersexualized, but she worked with Jon Favreau and Kevin Feige to create more depth and progression. Well, no, she starts off like that because that's how all characters start off, is underdeveloped. That way you can develop them. So, no, this was not Scarlett Johansson being like, I want to be a more progressive, strong female character, and here's the best ideas on how to do it. It was, this character has given us a little bit of information. Here's a little of their backstory. Here's some mystery. Here's some intrigue. Now let's progressively grow them because we're trying to keep this as a long-running franchise for a decade and a half. Sean Connery could never get away from James Bond. Yeah, he could. Sean Connery, again, one of the most prolific actors to ever grace the screens. Vin Diesel will forever be talking about family and muscle cars. Okay, I'll argue Vin Diesel maybe is typecast, but also he seems happy with it, likes what he's doing, so I don't know if he's typecast or just is always making Fast and Furious movies year after year. He doesn't do anything else. Matthew McConaughey will always have fans utter, all right. Just because you have a memorable casting does not mean you are typecast. Typecast is when you're put in the same role over and over and over. Matthew McConaughey is one of the most diverse leading men in all of modern acting. He has done, the funny stoner, all right stuff. He has done incredible dramatic work. He's done television like True Detective, where he plays a nihilistic, alcohol-addicted detective in southern Louisiana. He's, been in things like How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, where he's a romantic comedy heartthrob. He does incredible improvisation in one scene in The Wolf of Wall Street that kind of steals the show for that entire film. So calling Matthew McConaughey typecast is, you clearly don't understand the definition. So again, this article is bunk, and I still haven't got to how she's been groomed. Having fans know you for something is how you become a household name, but if you're not careful, you can easily be pigeonholed into one role for your entire career. Scarlett Johansson didn't accept that, and she is now one of Hollywood's most talented and sought-after actresses. Okay, not a single example of how she was groomed in this. That is, we're taking words like groomer, grooming, that have very, very significant meanings and are important to culture, because when people are grooming, we need to call them out and get those motherfuckers locked up. So to use such an abhorrent term that, to catch eyes for a fucking giant freaking robot article is disgusting. Groomers are people who groom children that when they turn 18, they will want to fuck them. That's what a groomer is. And it's disgusting, and it's immoral, and it needs to go the fuck away. To say that you were typecast, but using grooming instead of typecast because you're moderately attractive, that's sickening. So no. Scarlett Johansson wasn't groomed. Scarlett Johansson wasn't even typecast. This article doesn't know what typecasting is, or if it does, use some of the absolute worst examples of it that they could possibly think to find. So, I want your guys' opinion. What do you think of the term grooming? Do you think Scarlett Johannson was groomed? Or do you think Giant Freaking Robot is literally the modern day BuzzFeed but for movies? Please like, comment, subscribe. I am really trying to grow this channel, so it would mean a lot for me if you did that. Also follow me on Twitter at BoltTheWord. And this has been Words of Paradise.